Today, we're going to draw Wartortle from the hit series Pokémon. Are you ready, Mr. Ice Cream?
Wartortle is a second stage evolution of Squirtle, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he is.
Then color me excited.
All right, well, I'm glad you're on board.
Before we get started, the only materials you need for this project are paper, a pencil, a black marker, and something to color with.
So let's get started. So we're going to start just by drawing the outside shape of Wartortle here. So we're going to do a little line for the top of his head here. Kind of a little triangle for his one ear there. Another little triangle for his other ear. And bring that down kind of in the middle. And then a little triangle for where his arm's gonna be. A little line coming down for the front of his shell. And then a little line coming down for his leg. Bottom of his shell here. Line for his other leg. Shell on his back, and then another kind of triangle for that arm. And then just a big oval for his tail. So hopefully you can see this.
I can see it.
And then we're gonna start carving all the shapes out of this initial shape.
I think I get it.
Once we sort of have this, where he's gonna fit on the page and how he's gonna fill up the space, now we can start adding the details.
Yeah, that makes sense.
From this top triangle here, we're just gonna do a big curving line like that. And then a little bump like this. And then curve that right back up. And then we can put in his ear here. We have this triangle. Do a little line with a loop on it. And then overlap a little bit. And do another loop. And then one more like that. And then we draw a little curving line like this for the inside of his ear. And now we can draw his mouth across here. So it's kind of like a little smile with, it comes to a point in the middle for where his beak is. And then right where this little indentation is, you can draw a little line coming down like that. And then another line coming down like that. Because he's in fighting mode. So we gotta have these eyebrows looking serious. And then we connect those two lines. A little bit of a curve. And then we draw a little oval inside like that. Another line like that on the bottom. Another little half oval for the highlight in his eye. I can put two little lines like that for his nostrils. A little line like that for his eyebrow. And then one on the other side. And then just above the edge of this side of his mouth, that's where we can draw the other eye here. And right next to this is where we draw top of the eye. And then want to let that overlap a little bit. And draw two curving lines down. And then do another oval like that for his eye. A little line inside of that. And a little bit bigger highlight on this eye. And then we can just go ahead and start coloring in that middle part where the eyes are going to be black. And now we can do his other ear over here. So we left a space here, so we're going to do a curve this way. And then wrap it around with a bump like that. Curve like this, just the opposite mirror image of what it is on the other side. And that's going to come back down to this one. And we do a nice curving line like this.
Wow, that looks like Wartortle.
Then right below the center of his mouth, we're going to do a little triangle like that. Middle of his shell, and then coming right out from his cheek here, do a little curving line for his hand. He's kind of got his claws like in a fist, so we're gonna do one claw like this, another one like that. And another one right there. And then from the bottom of this one, we just curve that right back here. Oh, and I forgot to add the teeth. So right on the edges of his mouth here, I'm gonna put two triangles like that for his teeth. And then we're gonna do a little curve like this, going to his arm, and then right where the arm meets that curve, we're gonna curve back around under his belly. And then we can draw his leg here. Just kind of curves down like this. And then only 3 toes on his feet here, so 3 little triangle shapes. And then that curves right back up to his belly. And then we can draw his other leg here. Start by doing a shape like that, and then continue that down, and 3 triangles for his toes, and then curve right back up like that. So now we're going to do this other arm. So right underneath his chin here, do a curve that's just the opposite way of that, same size as this one. And then on top we come down like that. And we're kind of going to do the same thing as we did with these claws. We do the first one like this, pointing down. Then we're going to do it a little bit different and have one kind of pointing out like that. little curve here, and then one more triangle like that. And we curve that right back to meet the other line. And now in between his arm and his leg, I'm gonna do one line like that, and another line that follows the same path, except curves around and attaches to his leg. And then we can put the shell on his back. And this line's gonna kind of continue over here, so we do two lines like that. You see the back of his shell right here. Maybe I could make that a little bit bigger. And then leave a little bit of a space between the shell and his tail. Tail. Gonna curve like this. Then from right in the middle, do one long line, one short line. And then from right on his leg here, if we imagine that this line just continued through his leg and would start about here, we do a little spiral the other way. And then we do one curving line here, one a little bit shorter, and then a curving line to connect those. And now we just gotta do the front of his shell here. So right from kind of a little bit inside his leg here, we can go up and down like that, and then connect the point of this triangle to this one. Kind of a curving line like that. And then right in between his arm and his leg, kind of halfway between and halfway between, we can put a little dot there, and then do curving line that connects that. And I think that's about it. So now, if you want to go to the next level, we can add some shadows. You don't have to do this part, but if you want to try to add the shadows, I think you can do it. So I'm going to do a little line here that's going to be a little bit darker than that. And this side, just remember what lines are the shadows and what are your actual lines. So do the shadows a little bit lighter with your pencil, because when we darken this in with the Sharpies, we're not gonna color our shadow lines with black marker. So I'm gonna do a little line in between his hands, curves back up there. I'm gonna do a line on the side of his face that kind of curves down to his beak like that. And another line just by his tooth. Where this line connects here, we're gonna do a little curving line to the other arm. Then another curving line like that, so it'll be lighter on the top than on the bottom. And then from this foot, we can curve up to his shell. And then right from where that is, I'm gonna curve around his shell and up to his arm. And then right from his leg here, that. And then on his tail, it's gonna be a little bit of a scratchy line, so kind of like this. And a little bit of a scratchy line in between there. And then a little bit of a scratchy line like that. And that's it. So now let's go back and darken this in with some Sharpies. All right, so there's our super simple outline in black and white of Wartortle from Pokemon. So now I'm just going to erase my initial outline that we did, so the pencils don't bleed into my markers when I go to color this in. And then as soon as we're done erasing these pencil lines, it's time to color this in. Okay, I forgot one little thing, one little detail here. So I'm gonna put one curving line on his shell here. And then two shadow lines like that. So the shadow lines will keep them pencil. And this line will color with the... All right, so now let's add some color. All right, so there's our finished drawing of Wartortle from Pokemon. What do you think, Mr. Ice Cream?
I love this. Those light blue colors are radiant.
Yeah, I like those aqua colors too. It's because he lives in the water.
So it's like camouflage. That's so much fun.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you had fun, and I hope the rest of you had fun, and we'll see you at the next art party.
Don't forget to click the like button and subscribe to save your seat at the next art party.